and beyond. We are good evening again, viewers of Oko and Beyond. We are live on our usual program, Oko and Beyond, 6 p.m. to talk about peace with Tata Charity Yenland. But today we're going to be talking about a very important topic that is so pertinent for the day and for the time. So because of some happenings that are just taking place in our community, we saw that okay, instead of talking about peace today, let's shift to something else. It's been a month without our peace talk because there were other activities, there were other field activities that I was doing, and I'm going to be bringing to you some of them in our next episode of peace. But today, let's move from peace and talk about something else that is actually pressing on our society today. That is pressing because we are about to go on holiday and our children are soon to leave school. Some are soon to converge in family houses, some are soon to converge in communities and all of that. So let's talk about peer pressure and adolescence. And on this topic, I'll be bringing to you live a very intelligent woman, a very beautiful woman. I'm sure she was supposed to be the one hosting, but I'm hosting her because she's at my time. It's my program. So we'll be having this discourse today with Madame Rungong. We will be welcoming your contributions at every level of this discussion. So you're welcome on board. I want to invite all the Oku people. I want to invite all the parents. I want to invite all the teachers. If you're live now and your friend is not live, please hit them on. Let them connect because it's going to be an interesting episode and it's a not miss episode. So, Madam Rungong, welcome on board Oku and Beyond this evening. Let's talk peer pressure and the effects on adolescents.
Thank you
So,
very
Madam
much.
Ruth, I'll be welcoming you to introduce yourself and just go straight to introducing the topic we're talking about.
Thank you very much, Madam Charity. It's my pleasure to be your guest on your show, and I hope I do it justice. I've been a young person before. Maybe I still am. I've been an adolescent, and everybody who is grown up has been. Some people are in that stage right now. Some people are yet to be there, and there's always peer pressure. There's always peer pressure on the left or the right. So again, she said I should introduce myself. I'm Ruth Ngong, and I'm her guest today, and we are going to be talking about peer pressure on children or adolescents.
Welcome on board, Madam Ruth. Yeah, this topic
Thank
is,
you.
I'm sure everyone that will be on with us today will be talking about their experiences and not just something they stood by and saw. I think we lived the experience once in our life and we are still even living it now because I'm sure there's some pressure. There are some things I'm looking up to you. I'm seeing you doing that. I might like to be the same. There are some communications that I get that I feel like I should fit in, and that is that is pressure coming from you, maybe without you even telling me. So this would just lead us straight for you to tell us what peer pressure is generally, and then you get particularly to what peer pressure is on adolescents.
Okay, thank you very much. So wait to be peer pressure or peer pressure, Lou. Emma cool. Peer pressure on children refers to the influence that peers, or that is people of the same age group as you, um, particularly, yeah, people of the same age group, they exert on a child or they exert on each other. So if we are talking about people in the groups of maybe 0 to 5, maybe zero is too little, or yes, 3 and above, when they
Or
interact with
from
each other.
from nine, when children really can start, when adolescent development start. I think it's about 9 years where you see
Okay,
them
yeah,
try to
yeah, you're
develop
right.
their. Yes, we let's leave children and focus on
On
adolescents.
adolescents. Okay, thank
Yes.
you for catching that. Yes, so how these people of the same age group, maybe from 9 to whatever adolescent or that excitement comes in, how they influence each other, you know, and they how this influence help makes them to change their values, to change their attitudes, to change their behaviors to align with the group. maybe the group that is more popular or what they perceive as popular at that time. So this influence can manifest in various settings. It can be in schools, it can be at home, it can be in playgrounds, it can be in social gatherings. So peer pressure, the key word I would like us to underline is influence. How people of that age group, how adolescents, how they influence each other.
Okay,
What do you
Madam
think?
Ruth, sa swindo sungna lang balang na tadi na mululo ko na bakta ka tulo ko. Ama kung sa yoga ase ka sui kanakin ka o bakta man lev la mo ko o sui ga peer pressure lu ya. Makagabla mo ko lo ta na sa chance dale lita.
Uh,
Dena o bakta kama mi wala lo na ko jikta gwi na program yin ken le na. Abi alu sa kela ga le ka pa ka o kana ka tu ka no ka sungna no tan line.
belle charity. Belle que nous peer pressure lu bla quoi. Peer lu wak. I guess peer lu wak. No pressure
Pia
lu
lungo. Waya lungo.
ngo.
Okay,
Eh.
ngo. Kana lungo ay lighten. Kana luya batitin. Kana luya kan.
I
Kana
have no.
lungo.
Me yana ga lo say nothing way.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay,
yo.
sa sin dulu na makwata ga kana king gatong tanga peer pressure. Lu aji ya gala lo ya chi kono na tan. That
Mhm.
is ji ya wala ble dom ta na ble wo kana dom ta titi kana dom ta ni ba ma wala wang na wan waka kaya
Mhm.
na wala wang na wa sa ji mo o chak ti hi who or the kind ta di lungo e mo maybe ga bin ka linga bli ko mo ga andu non da ngwali mo o ga andu chilen o ka likap chile ko mo lo ya lu na na so bi e ka lungo e mo so ji le lu ya fo wala ble dom ta wala ble abi ya ne kana kanam ne na lu kana ka lu na titi kanam ne na lu kana ka lu ni ba ma
Mhm.
ka influence la ma ko na pressure ola longa ala mi the program you will play wa lo ta ke of course na ta e lo ji ka la mo ko kana lo gi next episode okay ya fa ke na ko ju okay
Okay.
madam Ruth you've talked about peer pressure, you've given the definition, and in adolescence, and you've given the kind of places where these young people meet. So I know that this pressure is in different forms. I would like
Mhm.
that you try to tell our audience some of the types of peer pressure that adolescents might face. It's different with adults, it's different with children, and I'm very sure it's different with adolescents. So I would like that you talk about some of these pressures that adolescents will face.
Okay. Thank you for reminding that we are focused on adolescents. Uh, yeah, so there are four major types that we're going to talk about today. And peer pressure can come in the first form, direct peer pressure. So peer pressure will be direct. One person influence you directly. And when we talk about direct peer pressure, it means say or direct influence. We don't say so we'll quote the word peer pressure, say influence. How person for your age group or people for adolescent age that 9 and above, where young people their blood they develop that blood they be very excited. How people them amongst that group they influence each other. So we see the first example now direct influence. Yes, direct influence. So if you be verbal, most of the time it be verbal. One person will tell you direct say, make you do so or may you not do so. I don't know that you get any example or you feel remember sometime maybe you tell me you be young, some person don't tell you direct say, may you do so. Person for your age group.
Yes, I remember very well. You know, back in those days when they play Kaduf, you know Kaduf, right?
Yes.
Football made from a back. If you go to the field, there are rules that are set. If
Mm-hmm.
you In short, the owner of the ball doesn't leave the field.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of rules like that could be influenced. Like, okay, if you must kick my ball, you must carry water for me. If you must kick my ball, you must study with me.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it is or you're communicating it. That if you must, it's explicit. Either
Uh-huh.
you do this or you're not a part of my team. So
Yeah.
I think that is an example of direct peer pressure.
Okay, so direct pressure. Mark, give another example for direct peer pressure. Let me give another example. I remember a time where I was at that age, in I think secondary school, and some of my friends they were going to play, and what the game they were choosing to play was illegal according to the school. Maybe to go and steal mangoes. unripe mangoes.
Mhm.
So since we're all sitting together, they were like, Ruth, come on, let's go. Right. At that time, I felt the pressure to join because I never wanted to be considered odd. I wanted to fit into that group. So they directly gave me the instruction, come on, let's go. And it took a lot of thought for me to not go, but that was a direct example of direct peer pressure where you're feeling influenced to do something. And let's not get it wrong, it must not be bad, it could be something
Yes.
good. Yes. And yeah, so that's an example of direct peer pressure where they just tell you directly, people of your age group, that let's do this, or more do the thing. You the one for belong, so you'll be tempted for join or for no join. Yeah. So moving on, direct peer pressure can also be non-verbal. So that was the verbal part that we used. When peers use actions or gestures or social clues to influence a child's behavior. Yeah. So it can be non-verbal. You know, we don't talk about the direct one, verbal. We talk. We see the under direct, verbal, and non-verbal. The first example again, the verbal one. Now the non-verbal one, you fit just see say people the one go do something. If you no join, maybe the first time, next time they want make the arrangement, they no go even inform you. You'll just discover say they don't leave you one. So it be direct somehow, but non-verbal. They don't tell you anything, but they take their decision without you. So it look and say, oh, so if I go or if I no go, it means I be part of the group or not. So yeah, people that the influence. I don't know that I get any example where they think about for the non-verbal peer pressure. Oh, we just lost Charity, but she'll be back. We're talking about direct the types of peer pressure, and the first thing we said was the direct peer pressure. Yes, the direct pressure is verbal. Somebody will give you a verbal instruction or a verbal clue. And the second was the non-verbal, or the second type of the direct is the non-verbal, where someone will use actions, gestures. Maybe go just cut eyes, so will shake, you know, and influence you to do or not to do something. So moving on, while we wait for our sister Charity to join, uh, peer pressure. Okay, well she's coming in, and meanwhile, please tell us where you're watching from. We see Baya watching from Ngonswa in Sawa. We see Bacha Derek, he's watching from Tolon. We see Coming Blessing watching from Ochiokot. We see Emmanuel Ngong watching from Texas. Percy Pop watching from Keyon. And Crebel, she's watching from Bam. What's happening in Bam today, Crebel? We hope that things are getting ripe and ready. This is the season, I guess. Okay, we have our sister Charity back. Let's add her. There you go.
Okay, I lost the network. The internet here is sometimes really crazy. So
Mhm,
we lost the network. Yes, before I went off, you were talking about the different types of peer pressure. So I
mhm.
don't know if I missed anything that
Not
I have
quite.
to know on.
Not quite.
Okay.
We're talking about examples of how uh, non peer pressure can be direct yet non-verbal. Yeah. So if you're in the
Okay.
comments and you're thinking of an example that has happened to you when you were in your adolescent years, let us know. Let us know what how you experienced it, what happened. You know. Yeah. So we're talking about the types of peer pressure. Uh, Another one is indirect peer pressure. So that's the second type. And this involves a child noticing and feeling compelled to conform to behaviors and attitudes of peers without explicit urging. It's quite related to the non-verbal direct, but here it's indirect, where you just
Yeah.
feel. Mhm. Go ahead.
Yeah, while in secondary school, this feeling when your friends will bring food to school and you eat with them. And then maybe your parents were not the type of parents that will give you food to bring to school, and you start feeling like I have to bring something. And the worst of it, like when we're talking about peer pressure, me, I always try to focus on the negative because it's sometimes really weighing on us. Okay,
Mhm.
that your friends bring money to school and you're that kind of child that your parents don't give you money to bring to school. You're compelled to look into your dad's shirt or trousers to see if there was a forgotten 100 francs. So they did not tell you that, please, today, Charity, you're bringing your own share of the money. But the
Mhm,
fact that every day you go buy chewing gum, you go buy sweets, you feel like, okay, it has to be my turn today and I have to do something. So I think that is a very glaring example of non-verbal or compelling attitude that
mhm,
could push your peers to do things they really did not want to do just because they want to fit in. You
mhm,
know, when we talk about peer pressure, we are just trying to look at a situation where you want to follow the trend, you want to move with the moving ship.
mhm. Yeah, that's a very interesting and apt example. We have Percy Pop in the comments. He says we usually go to Silk and Cool in primary two. Yes, sometimes you see your friends going and you just don't imagine yourself staying
Yeah,
away. Yeah, so we're talking about indirect peer pressure, and it happens a lot. The example she gave is really pertinent, or not really happen a lot. Another example is where maybe in school, amongst your friends, you see that dressing a certain way, that
yeah,
they're dressing maybe very
yes,
hot, very nice, or looking rich, and maybe you don't even have back home, and you start feeling left out and wanting to pressure your parents or look for other means to get those things. You've even
yeah.
seen cases where students will leave their house with one uniform, and on the
And
way they
come back.
change. Yeah. So yeah, even though we are talking about this, I want to ask you, why do you think this is? Yeah, someone is asking what's the age range we are looking at. We are talking about adolescents from 9 and above, maybe.
Adolescent, I think adolescent age, we can, if you want to level it down, we can take it down to 7 and up
Mhm,
to about the age of 16,
mhm,
when you're still seen as a child, but actually you don't feel like you're a child. You already
mhm,
feel like, imagine a 12-year-old daughter feels like, I'm developing breasts, I'm just like my mother.
mhm,
So yeah, that's the age we are looking at. We are looking at that age where you're neither a youth nor a child. You're not more a baby because your parents don't absolutely decide for you, but your
mhm,
decisions still need to be guided. So I think that that's my own definition of adolescence, where your decisions still need to be guided. You're not typically a child, but you're not yet a youth. You still need a lot of parenting for you to take rational decisions or do to do the right thing.
mhm. Yeah, Percy Pop says dressing is one of the indirect way, especially with girls. And yeah,
Yeah.
even though this is your
Yes.
show, I want to ask you something. Why do you think this topic is important at this time?
Well, like I said at the introduction, this topic is very important this
Mhm,
very period because I think in 1 week or two, our
mhm,
children will be on holidays.
mhm,
And like now, a lot of children back home are not going to school. A lot of children are going to school out of their communities. So they're going to be coming for holidays with so many different kinds of attitudes
mhm,
and behaviors or values that if as parents we are not focused on trying to moderate them, our children might get negatively influenced a lot. So
mhm,
I think this topic is very important because it's about time to go on holidays. And if we don't groom these children well, we are creating problems for our future. So I saw this topic very important that instead of talking about peace today, let's talk about this peer pressure. And also in a group today where I belong, it's Education for Creativity. It's an NGO owned by an Okuman. He
mhm,
posted a picture of two girls that were like they were in an argument and one just pushed the other and they were close to was it the bench. She fell, hit her head and started bleeding, and that was all. So when I came back from church, Madame Roth sent the same picture to
mhm,
me. I was like, hey, is this thing haunting me today or what? So I just say, okay, this should be the topic for today
mhm,
because it is timely, because our children are going on holidays and they'll be facing all of this. And some of us parents will be facing some of these things and we will not know how to handle them. So it's very important we try to understand that, okay, if your child or your children are bringing up some attitudes, some behaviors. You see them changing, you have to be able to investigate to understand who is your friend, which company are you keeping, and all of that. So that if they are having a negative pressure from their friends, we can be able to know how to control. Every other child is important. Maybe because a child is a bad influence, we should not cut off that one. But education is very important. So I think that this topic is timely to educate our children, even as they go for holidays. Imagine you have your, like now, some of us living in towns, your house have flooded with children. Imagine you have like 3 or 4 adolescents that will be going for holidays with their parents in the village. You might have to sit them down and caution them that please be watchful of these attitudes, be watchful of these attitudes, because they
Mhm.
might push you to a direction that is not very positive. We are not, I'm focusing so much on the negative. It's not like there is not nothing positive in peer pressure. Peer
Mhm.
pressure is very positive. I think most of us where we are today, it's advice from some of our friends, some of our peers that has lead us. But we also have to watch in this particular age group because their decision making power is still blurred. They might take the wrong decisions without actually reasoning them out.
You're an
So, madam,
expert in this domain, and that brings us to that brings us to the third type. We're still talking about the types of peer pressure on adolescents. So the third type we're going to talk about was positive, which you just mentioned. So peer pressure is not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily bad. And what is positive peer pressure? Is getting influence or encouragement from peers, from people of the same age group to engage in beneficial behaviors. And these behaviors could include maybe sharing, um, participating in group activities, or completing homework, And it takes me back to early this week when I went for a school activity. My picking began some activity for school. So I go there, because a lot of competition the way that you do, right? So when one person one do activity, there are games, one person one do activity, you see as their age made them, even though na young picking them for 7 years and about that, the others are clapping, go this, maybe go charity, charity, you can do this, you can
yeah,
do this,
yeah,
you know it be really make me, I wonder, like, picking them for the age, see as they motivate each other, they know say they feel just that talk, the boost you, they do more because they were working as a team. So peer pressure can be good, like in that instance. When the person finished, they tell you, oh, good job, this person, good job, charity, you got this. When the person is struggle.
yeah.
So that's an example of positive peer pressure, which I witnessed this week. I don't know if you can think of any.
There are a lot of positive peer pressure. Imagine in a situation where you're in an examination class or you're preparing for your exams, and you have these 1 or 2 friends that each time you're around them, the only thing they'll tell you is, let's go and study. I think
Mm-hmm,
that's positive influence on you, because even if you were coming to play and you see that, okay, it could be direct, it could be indirect peer pressure. They are not communicating it, but you just notice that each time I come to the house, they are studying. You can just
mm-hmm,
be pushed to go and study. They can actually openly tell you that, please go and study for your exams. So your peers will be influencing you towards the right direction. Some
mm-hmm,
peers will influence you to learn a skill. There are some people that are so talented, super talented, that when you're around them, you just get to be learning something, because each time you come around, they're active. So I think that's positive influence from your peers. And advice too. Some
mm-hmm,
peers will tell you that, please, this thing that you're doing is not correct. Please do it like this, and it will help you. I think
mm-hmm,
this even happen among adolescents. Like, when
mm-hmm,
if you can hide around and hear that discussions, you discover that, okay, there are some ones that are really nice and they'll be trying to teach their peers the right thing. For example, I have my girls around that are teenage girls. When they
mm-hmm.
go learn their lessons, when they come back to the compound, they will sit other children from other churches and be telling them that these are the rules in TVH. So that
Rules
is
of
kind
good
of
fashion.
positive peer influence.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, someone in the comments, Percy Pop says, "They
Yeah.
can talk, so girls need for listen. We boys we don't lose sense." So he said that more girls need to listen to this. What do you think, Cherry? Say peer pressure they affect na girls them more or boys them more. It's
Well,
that na girl they need for the early talk, because boy they need lost sense. What do you think? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I'm here. I'm getting you now.
Okay, yeah. So someone in the comments said this kind talk so girls need for listen because we boy they need the lost sense. So you think say peer pressure they affect more
Everybody did
boys or
last
girls?
sense. Everybody did lost sense. Actually, yes. You know, the thing is, there are different ways that when girls fall victim, there is a lot of evidence on them. But
Mhm.
peer pressure is on everybody. When you see those junkies, them, those guys that smoke, they are also boys and they are suffering effects of peer pressure. Yes, we are talking about adolescents. Pregnancy might get in, STDs and all of that. I
Mhm.
know why you're saying we boys will know the lost sense.
Lost sense.
Boys too actually lost sense. I know
Oh,
boys in my time that actually lost sense and they are regretting it. The thing with peer pressure is that after a few, you feel like when you're following your peers to do the negative things, you feel like you're the boss at your
mhm.
time. But after a few years, you start regretting. As you move to your adulthood, you start looking at those things and you discover that they were so petty for you to focus on. So you get regretting. So it's very necessary to not to let yourself be carried away. Madam Ruth, I want you to go to the final. You said you were having 4 points. I want you to raise them also that I can also try to tell them in Oku. We together,
Oh yeah.
Oku
You're doing
podcast.
it justice. Leave me out of this business. Okay. Okay. The fourth time we are going to talk about today is negative peer pressure. You know, we've been hinting it even as we talk about the first three, the direct peer pressure, indirect peer pressure, positive peer pressure, and now the the negative peer pressure. Ken Boy says we call it teenage crisis. You're quite right, Ken Boy. And a big shout out to you. Good job on your recent music. So negative peer pressure, what it is, what is it? Okay, it is influence from your peers to engage in harmful or undesirable behaviors such as bullying, cheating, disobedience, and we can name the rest. If you're in the comments, please tell us, do you know any form of negative peer pressure or have you experienced some, or can you give us some examples in the comments? Sylvanos does this.
Yes,
Greetings
that would
to
really be
wife.
nice to get it from our audience.
So if you're watching us,
Yes.
please drop a negative peer pressure that is common or that you could have experienced or see it happen to somebody. While you drop that, maybe you want to give us a summary of what how far we've come, Sister Chari.
Okay, so far I'll be giving the summary in Oku. So kaya sangka sungnan kum topic ya peer pressure. Peer pressure ta me sa chang de dam la mo ku benalu. Agala ngu ko mo o ka len ko mo ya konan gala te je.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, eti short gala te je.
Yeah.
Kalo chinton. Okay, so masa kina na kinds akan chinton na ten kinds pressure wa blogwi o kanji ya lo dum te galo te jena na tan kana dum te titi kana dum te ni bama esan ka kina ga tong tanga direct peer pressure no li wa galo te jena wa diom sui ga le ka esan ya ni verbally ba lu go wo diom go ya ke fi kana wa makela sui so wega waja ne ga waja ya lungo fen mo kwa daga na salu Edward. Okay, mo kwata gana sa lub chim le mo na I must wear look ko. Wala lu no ku ko wa ka fa ga tong tanga I must. Wala yen na wa ka le on mami so le on go le ki particular ndisa regiment ta to fayen no ja yun no bo be we wala wen go for. So lo lu le ala no sisi go ja yun ga wona ka ga sa bisa meeting. Kalu se common ma for example so lu me nga kene ya sanan da sa meeting. Asa face uniform waja taso mama sa gwisa sa meeting. So yes, look, kili lugo no jungo bena imagine go lugo no be ka wana season say ga needi no waja ne waja boya lu ama dum to e bam. La lu li le wo ga chi mo sunnan peer pressure vinga wo swiss wo ga le kana ka ne yana ga la lu la yana ga so chi le wala kinan yana ga yana wa ba san ne ka gana ko ma mum so kai ngon ne ka gana ka wa lu yana gana de go ka ga ta sa ga la sa ya lu asa suiga ana sa yemen jangle ga fogala jajela ba
Back.
o
Oh,
jala
Jajalo back.
kiwinde
Kiwindi
ni mo
mo.
ka ogala ba ja ya je ni na ba be ma ka tan o yan ka gala jala na ba agri so wala kina du jo ma yangalu non verbal then wala bi wa ma kiga indirect lubli wa gala ne no chance de ye na ba suiga chance na al ga je na wana lo na sa shi ko chung no sa ya chung aga na gwi e na ga na dio ma ga na fai ga shi ko chung wa ka ga e kan na ka na dun so ne ga na ba shi go bi te na be na chung gwi so je so wan le o bi te man ga na du lu ka nga ga jang an wa la asan sung ne kum wa wana wa ga lighten ba lu wa pi man o gwi dio me we je na wan da ga na ya lu ta wala chi na ga na li ma liang wa so na fai sa jang fano ko ngumo no ko we na ba su ka no so we ndu si nda ndu ya jang ye ye ngwala then wala kino chu ma yen peer pressure wa tung tung positive e vi wa ne no ndu ji jung po we ta je na wa dum to we o wa ne ka no ko junga po na su for example for la ko wala ndu la ndana tama kana fuata tama kesa tama bankasa wana sasa na wandu mon diom se imaji ye yanka saba na lile na chim ka ba si we ba e galu pos ndu wala ndana na sa yu so no sa accept no vie tailor no vie kawan wono ndu diom fo kiji ya ne no so lo diom no vie lo sun no wa yoto mana lo so ki wo je na mena wo light ana si konges won yalu be gam sa ke ga sunan so no fen yalu na be ya bi wa fo o saksa be ka li no dun yenga okay so won la lu lijim ma za tun so won no bi inda yen ko mami si kana no fi o ko ko kaka ha ana on si o chop to no fo ja mum kan no di so mo jeka then the last one wa madam root ko sui lu watong tanga negative peer pressure e vidi wa dom tan we no on do so moma
No be.
na gala tan walu we na gata jena wa se annan daka gana ya je daka together mo kwa de ga chiwe no kuino no banga bo lo ta tatan ona sa lo luji ka tam wa ka ga ko wa lison go ya wa ba ta wala ki kan gata jedi gana guptu we on du li na gana ya daka hawana vi wa ki gata jera agana kuma sa gan la ena gana ma gan la o na no du li sa kan ka ja jam tan we na ga wani ya la lu na ka nya exam so we no mo so li na paper class chitin exam o mo yen no baxi men kan yeji ga so la lu ye yu ni wiza so no na o mo yen no chinte man kan am chintan di lu negative peer pressure then the one ya la lu la diom chi ya tan kana koble hotel go ja ya je na ko we tel atong tab lamba la ga bullying o ya che ko wa be me ko tam so wa japa so look kind of not a negative peer pressure so ka tu gon ka tu gon ka sung na atan chim lo na ma ba ka so tong ta a giesa ta na la mo ko jung bena ya son ko try so anda sang kana ka son sui ga so kina na aka sung na madam no so bivu ga shi topic fence luia normally oblivion oku ambiyon lu ne son sa sung na lu ko mnya bebe ga maka wana so shi sa ando so school nama diom yana lu say no ko lu wala je kan ba lu kan wo jwa ndu galan chok so me yana ka ona sa batan sa ya feel sa sandasa no wana lu no wana ndu mana ling dun dun no lo ya chinta na ku lo chinta ni le ya gwi nan de sa le ya some parents chi ma ba sa kela no lo chinta ni ya ba sa ki to vi no bli le wana no gwi nan de sa dun dun vi gwi ne le ya ne no wa lu ni bama bena wo lu wa fo ki ni wai mi na yenga wai mi lo no chanson ba le ka wai mi no chi ni njong ya na chi an chanson ye lu li je na wona lu wona wa ga bi na be ya yang so ga wona tan ama sisa na kaya swindu wala chi ni ye na wai vi be fo be wai wala li wa yang so mum so sisa no lu wai wala tan a wa chi ma sisa vi wa ba go sisa vi wa ja kum sanda a kona ba sa fai lu wa wien du je kan de ya wa ba sa ke e wa shi lo ya lu ge san ya je kam na vi no jim Bago chi mukum na wa mi sandale. Ka chika ma sung to tube. Og weekend ka ka ba sa ka so jofa ga. Yasan chinton wana jim ya jeka. Madam Ruth, I think I've tried my best.
Right.
I've
Well,
tried
no,
to say it the best I can say it with that.
one not yet.
So
Yeah.
if you have anything, you can just add, and if not, we can move on to hear the examples of peer pressure that our audience have in their
Okay.
youth that they want to share with us. And from there, we'll go straight to talking about the effects on young people. I'm sure even as we are going, we are already talking about the various effects, but it's also good that we go to hammer on them and then we further look at how we can support our children uh, not to fall prey to this peer pressure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charity. Let me pick. You said let's look at the comments. So we have Takenet. He says peer pressure is so strong that it could even be transferred to adulthood. Some friends will even influence their mates on how to run their households. Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
big. Do you want to comment on that?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. All right. And Emmanuel Ngong says learning negative social interactions, and he gave an example of inyundaka or nota kambangadi substance abuse, or substance use, ways of substance use. You know. Then he further said the desire to fit in chook skin. Yes.
Yes, buddy.
Yes. Yep. So uh let's see. Yeah, I think that's what they said. And someone says Yenland charity, more grace. Okay. Yep. You said we'll be moving on from the comments to the positive effects of peer pressure. The that can happen from peer pressure or influence that we have from other people. I see Charity is having some network issues, but it's going to stabilize itself. All right. So the first positive effect I would like to mention is improved social skills. Yes, like we said, we've already been mentioning some things that you can do to, or that you can benefit from peer pressure. And we said the first positive effect is improve social skills. Yeah, so you learn how to interact. And going back to the example that I gave of me visiting my child's school and they were doing activities, I saw a lot of cooperation, teamwork. Many children or many adolescents learn teamwork from their peers. Like when one person was running, they were doing a tack where you run and come and give something. The others were shouting, "Go this person, go that person," you know. So they improve their social skills like that. You learn how to encourage one another, how to live in a society. You learn teamwork, excellence in attitude, or you learn how to cooperate. So peer pressure can also teach you those positive aspects. Another and while I'm saying that, if you're in the comments or if you're watching and you're thinking of some positive effects of peer pressure or some positive things you've learned from your peers, don't hesitate to mention. We've lost our host Charity, but I'll just ride on like she's here with me. Okay, while waiting for her to join again. Another positive effect or another positive impact of peer pressure is encouragement to succeed. I think she also mentioned, or we mentioned, a situation where maybe you go for person in house, yeah, so your friend their house. Anytime we go there, the whole book they read. You dey start one that say, so did my friend this week go come out for first five for class, then I go, then I for back. So it motivate you, may you read. Or you see a friend and people where they around your age, they succeed, they succeed, it motivate you, say no, I feel follow the people then too, as they talk to follow my way, no road, maybe of course we talk about the good road. So if he motivate you, may you succeed. If he encourage you, your peers, then sometimes they see you the struggles until they ask you, say, where uh if he help you, they give you good ideas that will go make you grow. And some person talk for comments, say we can still remember some of our success stories because we belong to what they say reading groups, study groups. Yes, yes, Mr. Kenneth. I don't belong to reading group too, and I remember one of my friend, his name is Bina Sheila. Time will be there from three. I think I began one of my excellent results them for some subject them because I be study with it. Time where they be cover out in a time for sleep. If they always wake up me since we be very close to me, he go say, "Move study together." And that year I be getting my best results for that some particular subject them because of the influence of my life, So yeah, your peers can also encourage you to succeed. And talking about from three, I was an adolescent at that time. Yeah, somebody also mentioned daylight. Let me see, daylight reading or study group. So it's an emphasis on what Mr. Kenneth said, that your friends can impact you or influence you positively to succeed or to study together and perform better. So the development of healthy habits. So the development of healthy habits. Okay, we have our sister Charity back. Let me add her. Welcome back.
Network crisis.
It's all right. It's all right, and it's
Yeah.
understood. Yeah. So before you rejoin, we're talking about the positive impacts of
Okay.
peer pressure. Yes, and I spoke about improve social skills, and I went back to that example where I went to see what those children were doing at school, and they were encouraging each other, to
Yes.
motivate you to do better. But what I also saw in those games was cooperation. They learned that you don't do things just by yourself. You can work with other people, and in
What
society,
happened?
we are going to work with other people. So they learn how to be cooperative. They learn how to be kind. When you see somebody fall, the rest of the team was running to go and pick and say, "Oh, are you okay? Are you doing okay?" So now social skill and that will develop them. Maybe because we see other people that for age group they do. Yeah, and it looks like network is still challenging, but we'll ride on, we'll ride on. And if you're in the
My
comments,
network is fucking.
it's okay. It's back. It's okay,
Oh God.
Charity. We got this. Let me
Yeah.
do the
Yes,
positive peer. Mhm,
I think you can just continue.
mhm.
I'll follow as you're going. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
spoke about encouragement to succeed. And I gave an
Yes.
example where I performed very well at a certain stage in school because I joined a certain friend to study. So that was a positive. Her performance in school encouraged me to be her friend, and it made me to succeed even more. So that was a good example of positive peer pressure that I got when I was an adolescent, and also development of healthy habits. Your children or adolescents can adopt beneficial habits such as healthy eating, regular exercise, and good study habits, like we already mentioned. Then increase self-esteem. Sometimes when you see that you're doing well among your friends, or your friends can encourage you, something that you may be feeling down about, will help you to build your self-esteem. So maybe when they positively reinforce you or they encourage you, they say, "No, why you feel down? You feel do the thing, just add small power, you go succeed." Things like that. It makes you to have an increased self-esteem or confidence in yourself. Yeah. So those are what I can bring up for the positive peer pressure. What do you think? Okwagere,
Yes. Thank you very
Molesile?
much, Madam.
Mhm,
Thank you very much for the very brilliant talks, for the very brilliant points you raised. I think I'll just be bringing some of these points to the dialect because I
mhm,
think you said them all. And I would like to encourage our audience that if you have any point that you can add, you add. It's a learning process for all of us, and it will not be fair if we only give and we don't also receive.
mhm,
So kaya some kinondu no topic ko ya sama ki bege wa o bege positively
mhm.
luwe ka jung
Amazing.
the peer pressure vin. So ya
Mhm,
sama kim dume yana na lugo for ka improve social skills no one kama ko sui social skills skills ka handwork ka cooperation ka for kill se alu na gele jeno we o kill so socialize one ka lolu na sa lel ken lel be yo to jeno wo for ya kill se ya fin na gele mo for sub na gele mo mayanga sa communicate ka so no fen le lu social skill mayanga
mhm.
inspiration tan lu say peer pressure mo ko je ka so lo liwo
Yeah.
then takinon du ka encourage one also succeed wana lo wasa lemo wana mo wansa lo chinda wonyinga ya yungla ne ka ngo be wasa bak son wana bata wana lo fiela wana mum wana me ya pe ka tan mo kela ka fo wana succeed chimogui so wala osa kan lo wan lun kan wanin study kan wanin abia ki competition so ka ba so bon na bia ka go sen dum bi mo gui ba ma bia lu kan ablun be kwena liwa wono chintana ba tal la lu together o ma yen fo o wo ble lumso ble wo ble ka sana wo ble lumso ble wo so na ma ya soxy together then wala ki wo yenga okay wono la lu together na ya je ka so le healthy habits for example wala yen wana ble no jena na ngang o ma lo ma fang ya lu na ka ngo na ka zan go su direct indirect peer pressure ko yen ji aga ka kwitan do no lo yen ka ga de jena lu slek le no wo fang ya ne slim cause o ma yen ka fielanga ma lu so ka kambu no ya yangsa so wa yen ga me healthy habit yen wana ble wona ya two more so no one because yen ga de jena one two more for so no one wa yen ka fielan two more for so no one because yen ga de jena one lan du jo ma jum to du no ga de jena one baga lu ko no ka junga wan dia ma je ka so wana le bi le na na je ba shi ga to bi je ka then kani na one ta na for one team so wona ngem va ka tung dam lamba la ga self esteem
Yes.
wa ka wona le lo lu na kana lu nda ya na kuina tan kana lu environment ya lu tan na lu ka na fana nge lu ka na nyinga nge na fo wo le lu mo sui se wona wo le lu no she won yo man ka so le no le mo le go sung na le ja sung na be na ki tof chia wo so be be ga ba ki self esteem for ja tema agalan bi sung na be na lo lu no yan ka ga de je no wa fiel ni nam na o ma yen ka wan via ya fiel se sa name no o san du ka church ki wan aluka ada ma servants o shasa o wan gi church o ma yen ka we fiel chan du bi church be na wo je no wa balu that same circle ka ba so bona no yen na chan du bi church e ga chim ko lo lu no shika na gam du ne bi church amma lela ibam du de same ka lu class a lot of question no wan be lu no ke be na fo ja lo so ko wa won sa fisa be ya ba ga fana o le lo fan ga lo suya of just aga la check one ali len lu be ga sui ga no wan gam bi kem no sui ga la check one ma so kwata ga na le wa lo sui ka no just aga la check one be no wan lo fie la no wan le yen ka le just no check ga na continue o ma yen ka fie la mo for example a peer pressure influence wo kilo lu negative do mo no di university in chango friend yang me be ga the first no amo no mo so sweet friends a chen me le fake kan tie ai mama ne ke anglophone friends no me mo finally chogo je ka lu bilingual university mo feel na ma chim jang kan friends on da sa ma da sweet mo lo si ene check me mo pronouns french of la mo na check me so lu self esteem kam no tan na french di lu ka la lot tan different no me yanga aim na blewo wa positively wa wan ko lo lu abi an ne wa ya ta be go lo to jen wo ko ni ko na le wa ya na bing nan se no ko no ko junga o lo ni ma ya ku ya ji jun bella madam root oh yes ya choto ndu ya ki negative influence peer pressure so wa ma lo choto fo yang so fiela bugam yan go so na man ka gana ka fo so go so lo choto ndu ya ki no ji ya fo one ga undergoes peer pressure in their four parents support gonna survive. So thank you. We've been listening to the positive effects of peer pressure on adolescents, and we will be moving straight to the negative effects right now, Madam Ruth. Thank you.
Okay, well, Sister Charity, no, yes, rush over the negative because you mentioned more negatives already. No, fearless blama balak. Gusto for summary
Yeah.
blama puka na the abjute no the peer pressure negatively say luga. Okay, so the first one is engagement in risky behaviors. Children may engage in pressure or be pressured into activities such as bullying, substance abuse, or substance use, breaking rules, which can have serious consequences, maybe dodging from school, uh, trying some substances that make them even lose it in future. Because I don't want to use some of those words. And the bullying, what even led to this discussion, the situation of bullying where two girls were trying to engage in a fight and the others were encouraging them, even videotaping it, which led to the unfortunate situation. That is a negative influence of peer pressure. And another one is loss of individuality. Everybody has their personality, and if people over influence you to take a decision, you say you no moving so you could not or this person cannot decide for themselves, it is because of peer pressure. Before you take a small decision, you ask your friend, what should I eat, what should I do, what should I wear. You cannot decide anything for yourself. So it makes you to lose your individuality or to lose who you are. Finally, you begin to do what other people expect of you, not what you really want to do. And the third negative effect of peer pressure on adolescents is academic decline. And it's interesting because that adolescent age which we identified is very critical, where young ones want to belong to groups, they want to be validated, they want to be approved, they want to feel like they are important or noticed. uh okay, one moment. All right, you're back. Yeah, take it easy. Well, I was listing or talking about the negative effects of peer pressure on adolescents, and I mentioned engagement in risky behaviors. I highlighted the example that we had. Then
Yeah.
academic decline, yes, because maybe students will start dodging from school and other things. Maybe we see people walking out of math class because they have the notion that math is hard. You just join them to go because you want to feel like part of that group, and at the end you have a U grade in math, not because you could not have passed, but just because of the negative peer pressure. Mental health issues, when you begin to try substances that you should not try, inject things into your system that you should not inject. You can even have mental health issues. You may lose it in the long run. And yeah, so those are some of the negative effects. Okwage, ole obeya. Network lot of name. Okay, so network was dealing with us, but we're talking about, and if you're in the comments, let us know. I'm seeing some very interesting comment there from Percy Pop. He says he employ Madam Charity to talk to his kids. Percy Pop, you need to do it by yourself. And also he says positive peer pressure improves wife materials and husband materials too. So yep, so that's what we're talking about, the negative effects. Yeah, so I just finished highlighting the negative effects of peer pressure. You can go ahead. Hello, can you hear us? Yeah, apparently network is an issue, but we'll be fine. She's still going to join. Remember, Charity is the host for the show. I'm just the sidekick, but we're going to make it work. So, yeah, what can parents do? If you're listening, tell us in the comments, what do you think parents can do as we are getting to the holiday period to help their children cope better with peer pressure? Because maybe some children will be coming for holidays in your home. Maybe your children will be going somewhere. How should they do with this excess free time they're going to have during holidays? How should they, or how would they manage peer pressure? Charity, welcome back. You're good to go.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure you were talking about the negative effects of peer pressure. I lost my connection many times, and I'm trying to get back. So,
Okay, while we wait for her network to stabilize. Okay, yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, massive lamo koga yasanga kino ka for a peer pressure vinya dum to wana ndu ni bama masa kino ndu yasan ko so sungna na kino na si ju walu negative effect peer pressure so wana kiye baga na ya wana lu man say a late off masa gizo sui go for jim ko le to fu go lo le to fu bli le wa ya ka ba lu lo jim lo influence no na ya ka so ya sama sa kinan duga currently wa lu under this pressure for abya chi le ni ta wa yan nam de won chanson wa yan of ta ga tu kan ni ta ga tu le ya wa ba sa ka ga se lo so ga ya be go to jen wa ga lemon then lolu di wa ma yengi to wa nan dan wa la so sakta saktan lolu wana vi lu wa yen of za lu ken da wa ma yen of so ga na kan ni ga ni le no ba ga sa kela lolu wana lu mo wa yen kan no chi kan of wa le fo we lo yen wana fa fiaga wan ka lolu no so fe ndu chung fo wa yen wana fa fiaga yen
Okay, let me pick a comment. We have someone who said, Mr. Ta says, peer pressure has costed a lot of adolescents their destinies. Some parents and sponsors have actually stopped or dropped off the support they offer to some adolescents because of their derailment when they succumb to negative peer pressure. Yeah, so this is very pertinent, and thank you so much, Mr. Ta, for this comment. um, I know we are challenged with network, but that can even serve as a big summary for all what we've been saying today, because there's a big emphasis on the effects, the negative effects of peer pressure. This can be very detrimental. So during the holiday period, our young ones, our children, try to stay composed. You can run your decisions by your parents, and that will be fine, because some people's destinies have changed because of the negative or positive influences on from their peers. Yes, Charity. You can go ahead. Can you hear me? It doesn't seem to work. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, the network is really breaking. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I was just kama ko sino bla mo ko menge son ka yema negatively ka for peer pressure yes. Okay, kama ko su ya son ka so keen on jiso leni bamsa for pressure of influencer on there. Me yana na bli was also chose me Madam Ruth. Oh, so ya keen on ji for son ka wala yoma.
Mayowe. Lawyer, listen, ye. So she around 1 hour, 57 minutes. Yeah, because of the challenges we are having, we may be concluding for today, but we'll keep it up in the weeks to come, because this is really pertinent. This is relevant in a time as now where children are going for holidays. You know, if you're if you are a parent, try to support your children. Don't let them down. Support them through this period so that they can be on the right track. You know, don't give up on your child because they'll be influenced negatively. You're the first voice of education to your children. So always be on the guard. Try to know the friends of your children. Don't be that parent who says your friends cannot visit. Let them visit so you can get to know them. You know, uh, and see how you can help them together, because as they talk, when pikin see the for belena one man get them, when you don't come on a all man. So if you look some pikin person pikin say is spoil, you go spoil your own. Yes, Charity, we're concluding.
Yes, so I think we are looking at ways how we can support parents
Mhm.
to cope with these children or to help them go through this stage in their life. And one of the ways we can support our children is to engage in conversations with them. You know, a lot of parents don't talk to their children. We only instruct them, but we don't create that friendship, that cordiality with them. It is very necessary at this stage of development in your child to try to understand them, to try to talk more with them. Make them to be a little bit your friend so that they can be able to talk to you, they can be able to confide in you. Another way we can support our children is to foster empathy. You know, empathy is very important in a man's life. If you cannot feel the pain of another person, you will not understand. But now,
Yeah, while we are wrapping up with coping strategies, if you're listening, tell us, what do you think? What else can we do to help and support our children, our adolescents during this time? And always, what do you think? Percy Pop, Mr. Ken, I'm seeing you guys, and everybody who is watching. Tell us in the comments. And I didn't see you guys pumping in some likes for for the good things you've been hearing. If at all they're good, I guess they are. Yeah, so send us your reactions, your likes, the hearts. It costs nothing. It doesn't take extra data. Send us likes, send us hearts, and let us know how you think parents can be supported during the holiday period. Yeah, so Charity was saying, and I'll also add that try to create a discussion forum with your kids. Don't be just the instructional parents. Try to talk, listen to them. Sometimes they have needs that if you don't meet, they're going to let their friends to meet. But help to be that voice of teaching, or the voice of reason to them, so that they can always compare what their friends say against what you say, and make the right decisions in life. This is such a broad topic that maybe in the days to come, depending on Charity, would explore and dig deeper. So we'll not go to every scope of it, but we need support other parents. I've seen, and I belong to some support groups where maybe parents of teens, they talk about the struggles they're facing and how they can support their children. Somebody says in the comments that we need to uh excuse me, yeah, that we need to have honest conversations with our children. Sometimes there are some topics that we may consider taboo, and you don't want, or you feel uncomfortable talking about them with your kids. But guess what? Other kids are going to give them their own ideas, and because you cannot open up to them, they're going to learn from maybe people who are like them, who don't know any better. But as a parent, you might have lived long, and you've seen different consequences of different actions or inaction. So uh, be that voice of reason to your kids. Have honest conversations with them. Don't make them to be frightened by you. Teach them respect, but teach them to know that they can come to you uh, at any time. Yeah, and another way from the comments, another way to go through this holiday period is to engage children into skills development activities. Some of this pressure comes from idleness that pushes kids to succumb to negative pressure. Uh, Emmanuel says parents should be true to themselves to be able to tackle peer pressure. Yes, Charity, conclude for us, please.
Okay, the network has been really bad, Madam Road. I'm sure you should have actually, you're trying to treat parents on how to support their children. I think love is one of the most important things that you have to have for your children and for the children around you, for you to be able to support them through that development. There are a lot of parents that will keep pointing fingers at some children and watch them go bad. And just a correction could really help. I'm that parent that I'm not a bystander. If I see your child doing something wrong, I will correct that child. And if I have to face you, I will only face you. I beat every child. Though in the US where you are, they don't beat children, right? Here, the only correction that a child will actually understand most of the times it's beatings. Yes, it's not like you just be beating your child every now and then. Yes, if you discover that this child is doing this thing and you advise and they don't hear, I think the final thing you have to do is give them that touch, that parental touch that they will never. Is it? Do not. The Bible says that do not spare the whip and spoil the child, something like that. Yes, you cannot leave the cane as you're bringing up your children. So I would just like to say, parents, please be watchful, not just on your children,
Yeah.
and make sure that you support other people's children to grow well, because that way your own children will copy and learn from them, and they will also have to grow well. I think the network is actually messing with me. I'm not even sure if you guys are getting me now.
We are.
And Madam, thank you very much. It was a very insightful program, and I think that some time ago we have to talk about this, talking about adults, because I heard Mr. Takene said peer pressure is not only among children. Actually, it is not. You actually see some men coach others how to live their lives in their homes. Some of us growing up in Oku did not go to school, not because our parents could not afford, but because our parents' peers told them that Babe yaso bata kwa in the tang kumso. That is the one of these school gonna be a
I know. That was a very interesting way to end the show. Yep.
know that this peer pressure is not only in children. When you go around a lag, you see a lot of men in bars drinking beer, but when you go to schools, you don't find their children. This is peer pressure. Because if you have good friends, they will likely tell you, please, let's struggle and send these our two daughters to school. They might make us great tomorrow. So thank you, our audience. Thank you, Oku and beyond. It was a beautiful episode, and see you again on Sunday for another exciting episode on peace building. Within the week, we will be exploring more
Yeah, I think before the network left, Charity was like within the week we may explore more on this topic about the effects of peer pressure on maybe not adolescents anymore, but other groups of people in our society. So thank you very much. Let me end the show for her since network is not being fair. Thank you so much for watching. Share it so that other people can learn. Invite your friends to follow Oko and Beyond. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and stay tuned to all the good things we have in store for you. Have a nice one. Bye bye.